Hi everybody, I'm David Hanna of Cornerstone Tax and welcome to today's video. Today's subject is the minimum rate of multiple dwellings relief and HMRC's climb down and why you may now be entitled to a refund. Since April 2016 we've had the 3% higher rate for additional dwellings, and it was revenue policy, and indeed they said in their guidance, that if you did a claim to multiple dwellings relief, then you had to apply the 3% surcharge to those dwellings if their average price fell below a minimum amount. What they said in their guidance was you even had to do this when you bought a mixed use multiple dwelling, i.e. a block of flats with a shop on the ground floor or a restaurant. This was in fact wrong, and recently they changed their guidance to confirm that in those circumstances, the minimum rate of SDLT you pay on the dwellings element is actually 1%. Well, what does this mean for you? Well, it means that if you've bought any properties in the last 4 years which share those features, then you've probably overpaid your SDLT and you are now entitled to reclaim it from HMRC because their guidance was wrong. And this isn't small amounts of money. In some cases, because of the revenue's incorrect guidance, some of you won't have claimed multiple dwellings relief thinking that it increased the tax, when in fact it should have reduced it. Some of you may have claimed multiple dwellings relief but paid 3% on the dwellings element when you should have only paid 1%. And again, these numbers stack up. You could have overpaid up to £28,000 per apartment, depending on the value of the property that you acquired and the number of units in it. What is clear is that the average repayment for this sort of error is going to run into the tens, if not hundreds of thousands of pounds for investors, developers and others who have acquired complete units in these circumstances. Now, I'm guessing that many of you out there wonder how this could have happened. How could the guidance be wrong? Well, the simple fact is that revenue guidance is exactly that, it's guidance. It's their view of the law. But when you look at the law, and at Cornerstone we started looking at the law way back in 2016, we realised that there was still this 1% minimum rate. So we asked ourselves why? And the answer is that when Parliament voted this legislation in, they didn't intend that a higher rate for additional dwellings would apply to anything that wasn't purely residential. It's the same when you buy a house as a second home. If that house is not purely residential, for example, it's got farmland or woods, then the same logic applies. You don't pay the residential rate and you don't pay the surcharge. Well, all that the parliamentary draftsman did was put that same logic into multiple dwellings relief in April 2016. The revenue, unfortunately, looking at what Parliament had said rather than the legislation, decided that in their guidance they would say that even if you bought a block of flats with a shop on the ground floor, you still had to apply the 3% surcharge to the residential element. And this was wrong. As a result, solicitors, taxpayers and others have been misled by the guidance and have now got the opportunity to go back, right the way back to April 2016 and amend their return or make a claim if the guidance misled them. If you've liked this video, please like and subscribe, and if you want to know more, click on the links in the description below and we'll see whether we can help you. Thank you for listening.